we have Aces, Grassengroom versus Fox VortiX. Would either of these players like to talk a little bit about themselves while we play the infographics for both of these amazing players?
Yeah, so well, definitely not Ulises. just just watching the stream. It says Ulises instead of Vortic. No, not much. I mean, just
Thank you.
was listening to the interviews. Rigon doesn't have a lot of faith in me. That was hard for me to take, but I will try my best.
All right, and Grass, anything you want to say before we hit the draft?
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. VortiX is a really good player. And yeah, it should be good games.
And before we go into the draft directly, I just want to ask one question to Grass. Grass, you're the youngest player on the AOM circuit. A lot of these guys, actually, every one of these guys has played the original Age of Mythology. Do you feel like that's ever put a chip on your shoulder by any means when you go against some of these veterans of the game that have played the original?
I played the game for like 2 years before Retold, so yeah, the original game. So I would say I have pretty good experience on that, but yeah, I definitely haven't played as long as a lot of players though.
Oh, very good, very good. The higher seed of the draft is Fox VortiX, so he will be deciding on the coin flip whether he decides on heads or tails. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the coin flip. So go ahead and call out your choice, VortiX.
Let's go with heads this time.
Right, we're gonna flip the coin. And for the first time,
let's go
against the call out. Finally, it only took us to the second last series of the game just to finally have some luck in the favor of those who lost the coin toss. Alrighty. That being said, Grass, would you like to have God preference or map preference?
Map preference. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so that being said, VortiX, would you like to have first pick for the first God, or would you like second pick in the snake draft to have second and third God?
I'll go second.
All right,
second
Grass,
pick.
You're up.
You're up, Grass.
Okay.
Probably Kronos, right?
Let's pick Gaia.
All right, Gaia for the first pick.
All right, VortiX.
Let's go with Odin and Loki.
A couple Norse gods in. Grass, next two picks.
Let's go with let's go Thor and just go Hades, sure.
Nice little healthy mix.
Next two picks for you, VortiX.
Let's go with the two remaining Greeks, Zeus and Poseidon.
All right.
Greeks are off the board. Grass, your final two picks.
I'll take Isis and Uranus.
All right, last pick for VortiX.
Yeah, it's gonna be Set.
All right.
Set to round it out. So we have declared that. Now, will both players go ahead and PM me your map bans so we can get the map pool shrink down? Keep in reminder, if you are joining us now, that the players can ban the same map, and that is totally fine. It is done blind, so players do not know which maps are being banned until we announce both bans simultaneously. I have one ban. We will take time for the second to come in.
Tell me it's Midgard, Jay.
All right, so the first map ban we have is Anatolia.
Nice.
The second map ban we have is Midgard.
Let's go. Great choices, guys. Well done. Well done.
Oh, for the amount of games that we've played on those two maps, I'm actually very pleased that those are banned. Great choices, guys. Great choices. Alrighty, so now we will go to Grass, if I'm not mistaken, for the map choice for his first home map.
Yeah, let's go with Kurlagar.
All right, fan favorite. I like this map. This has been fun to
And thank
watch.
you so much for making me not pronounce that map name for a third time today. If while we're here, both players can go ahead and message me their god picks before we go off to me in the lobby. Take your time. There's no rush.
You guys go ahead and jump into the other chat. I want to talk to Iron Maiden about this draft. I'm curious about his thoughts.
There we go. We're going to go ahead and get things going, and we will be back with you here shortly.
Good luck, guys. All right, Iron Maiden, you still around?
I am still around.
All right. What do you think? Any thoughts on the picks we had here?
The first thing that jumps out to me. So we've, I'm gonna. This is an indirect answer. So let me get to it.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a sec. So the big narrative that I'm thinking about right now is the fact that Grassengroom we've already talked about this plenty. He's a really young player. He's newer to the competitive scene in AOM. Sure, he played the last couple of years of the Titans in the competitive scene and kind of rose towards the top. And he's really, kind of hit things strong and retold. Anyway, so he does have a couple of years of AOM experience. VortiX, on the other hand, he's, if I'm not mistaken, VortiX was nowhere to be found in the competitive scene in AOM.
Mhm.
So I don't know what his history with AOM is. Maybe he played it as a kid, like a lot of us did. But he, as a gamer, as an esports competitor, he's gained popularity and notoriety and success in other games like Warcraft 3 and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much I don't know how much experience VortiX has in AOM. So it's going to be, I think the narrative here is, it's kind of funny. Like there are two a little bit less experienced players compared to people like Magic, like Peggy even, and Recon especially. So having said that, again, I'm getting to the question. VortiX, when I look at VortiX's god picks, I see initiative. So Odin, Loki, Poseidon, even Zeus, in fact, even Set, kind of all of them. You can't really just sit back. You got to make things happen. You got to make things happen, honestly. So there's a lot of potential to do a lot of harassment, not necessarily rush, that type of aggression, but you got to really make things kind of happen. There's certain gods and certain matchups where there's a timing. It depends, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. So I wonder if Grassengroom is kind of going for standard meta picks, strong gods, whereas VortiX is kind of his draft feels a little bit different to me. It feels a little bit more strategic, meaning he's kind of playing to his strength rather than just meta, what is a strong god right now? Does that make sense?
It does. And when I look at the choices, you really do highlight it well. These are a lot of very early aggressive picks, things that can get going very quickly, but they have options for late game scaling, especially the Greeks. If you get to the Mythic Age, they can be very strong, but early aggression is a big option. Maybe trying to take Grass out of his comfort zone, to be honest, despite them both being... Oh, hang on, Jay. We're in the middle of something. Despite them both being somewhat new to AOM and then AOM Retold itself, because AOM Retold is new, we do have a lot of history of RTS competition from VortiX, and maybe that's his goal here is I'm going to put some pressure on early and try and get Grass out of his comfort zone, make him think a bit more about his decisions rather than reacting naturally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's more aggressive, micro-focused, that sort of thing. Not a boomer, at least from what I've seen so far, not a boomer. So that's kind of what I expect is for him to put Grass on the back foot. Mm-hmm. And even if Grass might technically on paper have, I'm not saying that he has better picks. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that if Grassengroom goes for something more boomy, the Titans the competitive scene was pretty boomy back before Retold came out. So I wonder if VortiX is going to be able to put him on the back foot from early on and, force Grassengroom to start making mistakes and whatnot. So the meta's kind of not going to matter once you start making mistakes.
True. All right, Jay. What's up?
All right, the match is created. So with the same credentials and password, we are ready to go into our next match. We have Grassengroom playing on Gaia, selected god of choice. VortiX shall be playing on Zeus.
Interesting. Okay, so picking one of his last draft picks actually inside of this game. And let me go find the match.
We're in for an exciting treat here for the first game of the second semifinals in the Underworld Showdown. Now that you've heard the picks, Maiden, give us your experience and expertise. What do you think is going to be the advantage for either of these players?
Let's do a little intro first.
Yeah, I'll take Grass. You go ahead and take VortiX. I've got in the south side of the map, the prodigy himself. We grew up playing the original. He grew up playing Retold. It is Ace's Grass playing as Gaia.
And on the northeast side of the map, we have Fox VortiX, the man that does not just challenge mythology, but the man that challenges empires in any RTS. Fox VortiX.
Oh, the intros are getting more and more ridiculous, and I love it. Can't wait for the finals. All right, let's take a quick look at the map. We're quite familiar with, Jay, I'll let you say the map name really quick. We're quite familiar with it.
Oh.
Yeah, we've got Kurlagar. I gotta say, Jay, the pronunciations, I don't even know how you're saying Scylla sometimes, but it's throwing me off.
No, I was told that was a map, okay? There's a big differentiator between my thoughts and other people telling me, my friend.
All right, well, let's do a quick relic review. We've got the Trickle of Gold up at the top. We've got our myth units use special attacks more often. Small Trickle of Favor has been in almost every game, and then buildings are constructed faster. Looks like a pretty standard spawn. I don't think there's a ton of variance on this map. We haven't seen anything crazy. And yeah, I would love to hear, Iron Man, your thoughts on this matchup. Zeus versus Gaia.
I hate to say it, but I have zero clue.
That's fair enough.
That's fair enough.
Well, but you know, let me explain why. Part of the reason is because this map hasn't really been played.
Yeah,
and so it's not.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's not like there's a developing meta, for example. It was played a couple of times in the Red Bull tournament, and so we have seen a couple games here and there, but for the most part, it's just not been played. So we don't really, there's no established meta. I really haven't seen other people play it. I haven't played it myself, only but once or twice. So it's hard to tell. You want to, I think the cop-out answer is, oh, there's fish on the sides. There's 2 rivers on the sides. It's going to play like Anatolia. But it doesn't play like Anatolia. Not at all. I mean, we saw Peggy, that game that Peggy played against Recon, that didn't, and I guess you could maybe argue it kind of played like Anatolia, but no, not at all, especially since human units can, walk on the aquatic terrain. So I really don't know what to expect here. I don't know. I could see it going many different directions. I think maybe the only thing I comfortably feel comfortable to say is just kind of what we've already said. I feel like VortiX maybe going to rely on a little bit of some aggression. Maybe he could do something similar to what Peggy did with some hoplite aggression to take out docks and whatnot. I'm not too sure though.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
This is a mere matchup of what Peggy and Recon had just played in the previous God-wise this map. So we do have an interesting take on a second reiteration of this matchup. I'm very curious to see how this goes. I mean, if we have any changes. Both players did elect to go to the top river of the map to be able to establish their fishing economy, so we can anticipate early aggression on the waters once more. And already VortiX is being established on a lot of fishing ships early on.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I feel like every game we've had on this map, both play. Oh, I got the double music. Sorry, everyone. I'll get rid of the double music. I feel like every time we've played this map, people are always starting on the North River. I don't know if it's just coincidence, but I feel like every single game that's been the case. Maybe a little bit of psychology going on there, just based on where you want to move your units, on how the map is laid. But we don't see people going for the South River ever.
Maybe it's the fact that they want to contest one another to get that dominance early on, whether it's through land units or naval units, just to be able to punish their opponent to take away that early investment into the fishing economy.
Yeah, and we do see Oceanus coming up. Again, we've seen a lot of Gaia today, and that seems to be pretty much expected. The Servant on this map is going to be quite nice, even if it's not that powerful. And then Bite of the Shark is just one of those techs that I feel like you have to get. It's just so good for your Murmillo.
Definitely. Across the map right now, pretty standard overall setups. We do see a early push, and the temple is placed a little bit further out than normal for the considering all things being said and done. But nothing too out of the pocket outside of that temple placement.
Yeah, I believe you have the same primary or minor god selected as the last matchup, right? Athena versus Oceanus. We'll see if we get the same sort of fast castle into Underworld Passage, because that was incredibly effective. But I think a little bit of the surprise factor is gone since we saw how successful it was last time on this map.
Definitely.
I'll notice Grass is casting Gaia's trees twice, so he's definitely going wood heavy because he's not even finished with the first bunch of trees. Do you expect a bunch of ships to just come out?
I expect ships. I also think that what we've noticed in AOM that is quite different from AoE 4, for example, without the grid. AoE 4 has the grid map, so units can always walk between buildings, whereas I think this guy's forest cast is mostly to keep the base very tight and very difficult to navigate through to keep these villagers safer.
Definitely. I mean, that's a very fair point. It's a change between like other RTS games compared to Age of Mythology, but with the way it is in the meta, that's the way it is. Thankfully, Jason is able to navigate the mines and the lumberjack areas to then put the relic back into the temple.
This is a ton of wood over here too, even with the docks. I mean, we're now docks on both sides, but that is a lot of gatherers on food, and they are pivoting somewhere else now. Where are these villagers going? Are we going for a second TC here? Looks like we probably are. Actually, maybe not. We don't have any resources. What is going on with these villagers?
Did he pay for it already? I think he maybe paid for it.
Oh, he already paid for it. Good call, good call, good call. I thought they were going to walk right past it. I thought we were seeing some Skin of the Rhino secret tech here with the villager rush, but you never know. All right, so we got the second TC going up. We've got docks going up. We've got a very booming game. So although the god selections were the same, different strategy we have here going for the second TC rather than the fast heroic.
Look at Grassengroom's base real quick. He's dropping a whole bunch of military buildings. So just to the left, yeah, we see counter barracks. Got a handful of buildings coming up. I can't quite tell, looking at the minimap, I can't quite tell if there's a lot of aggression happening on the top river. Looks like maybe there's a couple things, but nothing to the top side, the left side, whatever.
Yeah,
there's maybe a couple of units.
Got the heroes and the Minotaur, pretty much the same as the last matchup. Just the heroes, just the Minotaur, and again, we have the hero Terma coming out to try and deal with us.
Yeah, the hero Terma are very effective on just isolating that Minotaur away, and that slow from the Calidria does even more, but just slowing it down to be able to pass it down. This Minotaur is rendered effectively useless and knocked out quite early on.
And this Terma should be able to get away and potentially get a full heal with the Calidria and defended the dock successfully. Looks like Jason's going to go back. Hercules is going to keep chasing these units to try and avoid that full heal. And the Calidria heals the wrong one at first, and that does mean it's going to go down. But nothing crazy happening at this point in the game. We do see now the heroic age coming through, or at least pre-queued up for Dionysus. Just needs a little bit more gold, so a bit of a shift. We won't have the Underworld Passage. We're going to have the Hydra in Scylla, which I think is more expected on this map just because of the water and the fact that those Scylla can do a lot of damage to buildings and units on this map. And now we see the Murmillo coming out, and I believe we probably have Bite of the Shark already. I'll have to check. No, not yet, but I imagine he's going to be getting that when he gets the resources for it.
But does VortiX see? I guess he sees the Murmillo and the Terma already. So I think this is a little bit crazy in my opinion to see VortiX going for 2 TCs, only heroes as land army so far, only heroes, 2 TCs into Dionysus. I think that's a little bit crazy. Because if he doesn't see all of those military barracks from Grassengroom, it feels like Grassengroom can maybe just sack water if he really wants to, force VortiX to invest into water. Fish is not that good until heroic, honestly, and then Grass could just take over land. So I know we see a couple of military barracks here. Okay, this is good. This is good. He's gonna start getting hops out, maybe some Hippospis, etc. Even a couple of archer ranges. Okay. So VortiX isn't, he's not just going completely naked here to the heroic age, but still, I think maybe there's a little bit of some initiative for Grass to take advantage of this earlier land production, I suppose you could call it. Otherwise, he might get into some trouble because he won't be able to counter the skill on water.
And maybe
definitely that's a great point.
Maybe, oh my god, this is a huge army actually. So yeah, the greedy playstyle maybe getting punished here. Villagers going to be idle.
The army of Murmillos and troops move in directly, pushing back those hero units from VortiX directly back to the town center. We're going to see how many of these villagers are able to escape efficiently, and many of them do go on by the corner. Furia is placed down to blockade them back in directly towards that mass. Right now, we're going to see if they're going to be able to knock them down. The Murmillo do circle around down, but then a Hydra is able to get into the fight. Restoration is crossed down right upon the battlefield right now to let those units heal up while the engagement is going on, and while the line is thinning from the side of VortiX and the Hydra is going back. We do see Grass efficiently being able to thin the line and take control of this battle point.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to be able to take this TC. I mean, he's kind of got free reign here. It's not a huge army, but there's no sort of defenses and only a couple of units getting built, and they're garrisoning right next to the center. So I think this actually might go down, and Grass beautifully punishing the greedy play from VortiX's side.
Dude, if he takes down this TC, that's going to be completely insane. I expect it's Hippospis coming out of the military academies, right? And he does back off right there. Nice.
Yeah, Hippospis coming out. Had villagers garrisoned as well as a couple units in the TC. Oh, Caledria sniped down. What took out that Caledria? Was it the TC? Did I miss that? Huh.
I think I missed it myself, to be honest with you. But regardless, you see Grass's army positioning itself outside of the line, seeing if they have an ability to go past this wood line, to be able to harass these villagers, and they are going to go towards the river to see what they can capture. They do crash into a line of villagers as one villager, oh no, it does not fall, but one does fall. One did fall.
Yeah, so now we have the Pastis, so we gotta wonder, do we see a pivot from Grass in the army composition? Still heavily committed to Murmillo. We're starting to see a couple Cherry Ballista come out, but not a huge number of them. So for the time being, I don't think you really want to take a fight. You have the massive numbers, but yeah, you can see how much damage those heavy Pastis do.
They're heavy? Oh.
Yeah, he's already got the heavy upgrades.
Definitely, and as this engagement happens in the direct portion, the units of VortiX are going against Grass. However, he is retreating now as he's lost a majority of his front line. The Hydra does fall as well, as another Carnivoria is being dropped in the middle of the fight, slapping itself against that town center as his units surround that town center and go towards the back line of VortiX, who is initially knocked away completely from the fight. It looks like this town center is going to fall very quickly.
Bronze cast, but there's not that many units here. Interesting that Grass decides to take the fight instead of the town center, especially after Bronze was cast. I feel like maybe don't hit the units, go for the TC, but might be relying on the Carnivoria being able to finish that off. It does do a lot of damage to buildings, but it's actually been taken down, and I think Grass might have just lost a lot of his army unnecessarily there.
Yeah, keep in mind that he does have his Caledria stationed right next to his army to heal up whatever units are left, to be able to re-engage here soon if he does believe he has enough mass to do so.
But look at the military count now. It's basically gone back to even though Grass had a huge advantage. I have to wonder if that fight was worth it with the Bronze and with the amount of heavy Hepastis there. Maybe he's wanting to pivot completely away from Murmillo and doesn't mind throwing him away, but he's doing damage, he's getting idle time, so he's still the aggressor in this matchup, but you can see the military count has swung the other direction.
Definitely, and the idle time is massive while his army is going towards the side on the east-south bank of the map. He is getting chased down, actually, surprisingly, by the initial front of VortiX. I'm curious to see if he's going to take the engage or the fight here, or if he's going to just try to sacrifice a couple units to let the mass go. He's effectively kiting with these Truma, trying to be able to do any damage he can, but it looks like the engagement is not going to happen, and both armies are going to be happy to part ways.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. At this point in time, I think that VortiX has taken this game because he's been on 2 TCs for long enough. Grass is still on 1. Oh, Grass might be building a TC.
Yeah, he's doing it right now. Yeah.
Okay, but he's still classical. He's not going heroic. VortiX has both heroic and classical age units here. So I think instead of chasing these units on the side of the map, he needs to VortiX needs to go aggressive. Maybe play a little bit of defense right here against the Kairos to make sure he keeps his gold mine nice and safe. But at this point in time, Hippospis are super cheap on gold. So if he gets knocked off of this gold mine for a moment, it doesn't matter. He can drop a market, sell a couple resources, and he's chilling. I'm sorry to cut you off, but the Cherub Blaster are getting caught out right now, right? The mass of VortiX is going to be going in on top of Grass as all 3 Cherub Blaster are going to be knocked down. All 3 are down. He knocks out all of the siege as the rest of those Murmillo are running away to the woods.
Cherry Baliga is a new one. I like that one, Jay.
Hey man, just so you know, I do this all day, every day.
Gyro bobbity boobity boo.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But
the gyro witchman thingies.
I completely agree with you guys. I'm surprised VortiX isn't going more aggressive. I guess the army's here hitting his dock. He wants to defend that, but I feel like, man, if he knew that second TC was going up, he definitely could have denied that.
It's gold. No. It's all about the gold. It's all about the gold right now. So if Grassengroom wants to waste time, running around to the side of the map, picking off a dock, if he's doing that against me, no problemo. Take out my dock all you want. After you're done, I'll just send a Veil, rebuild it. Red needs to go offensive at this point in time. There's a naked TC, there's a forward gold mine, there's plenty of open map where he has a timing before Grassengroom gets heroic and starts to mix in his own counter units, his own heroic age units.
And that window is closing because here comes Thea for the heroic age, and that's going to be coming through right as this happens. So we may see the tree drop down here, just get the Dryad out immediately to defend this, or is he just sacrificing it? I don't see where the tree went exactly. But I don't see any Dryads on the screen, so I guess this town center is going down for basically nothing.
Town center is going down. He does have quite a few production units, but he's tapped on the food that he's floating right now to be able to produce enough units to be able to challenge this, as a fortress is being dropped right on top of this area. In response, he is putting a palace. However, is it too little too late, considering that he does not have an army to be able to challenge this mass that's directly across that gold mine?
See, guys, imagine if VortiX had gone aggressive 30 seconds early, 60 seconds early, whatever. The palace would not have gone up. He would have kicked him off gold. This game would have been so much messier for Grassengroom. It already is a little bit messy, but it would have been so much messier for Grass.
Yeah.
It still might end up being messy.
The Dryad and the Stimmed Bird are going to make a huge difference here, as well as the palace, like you said. The Citadel, or the fortress being able to get up right next to it, makes it a bit trickier for Grass to defend, but now these villagers that do not have safe access to this gold, we've got one other gold mine in the south of the map that he can likely access, but he doesn't have villagers out there right now, so gold production is going down very drastically for Grass.
Definitely, and this is not a particular situation that Grass is going to be happy about, as his palace is under threat to be knocked down here very shortly. Just challenging with the few units he has in his mass right now against the initial army that is in his base. However, the palace is going to fall very quickly, and he's going to be under pressure to be pushed even further back into his base.
Yeah, Petrobolos in the background just knocking down that palace one step at a time, and I think all this infrastructure is going to be taken out by VortiX. He's in a commanding position in this game at this point.
Definitely. If you look at economic accounts, if you look at militaristic counts, any counts in this game, you can see that VortiX is taking a very clear lead.
It's his game to win at this point in time. There is gold, if you look at the bottom corner of the minimap, there is gold for Grassengroom. He can survive for a little bit longer, but that's completely open and exposed. So I think that VortiX can just completely bust. He can just smash right through the middle and close out this game. Sure, he can set a couple of units over to the gold on the bottom. That might be good. But he can just push right through the center and just, remove Grass from the game.
That's what it looks like. And we see the pre-queue for Hephaestus, though we're not particularly close to having enough resources to go up through that. So we'll see if it comes through. Restoration cast in the back to try and keep these units alive. And yeah, Grass's base is just in complete shambles at this point.
Yeah, the pressure's aligning, the pressure is being put across the town center, as well as the tree that could possibly fall into VortiX's hands, as the last units they have. Oh, and there we go.
And that's going to do
takes
it.
game one.
Yeah, maybe could have gone aggressive a bit sooner, but at the end of the day, it worked. You know, he was patient, maybe a little too patient, but waiting until he had the proper army, he had the proper siege set up to take out the infrastructure that Grass had set up. And what looked like a pretty confident early game from Grass quickly falls apart with that heroic age timing.
That was ballsy, guys.
I'm going to leave you guys to be able to break down this game a little further as I get the players together to get the next lobby formed. So we will join you back here very shortly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
The turning point for that game was definitely that fight for that town center. When he popped out bronze, Grass should have just pulled his units onto the town center and finished it off instead of trying to pick off the army there.
Yeah, I agree with bronze. You're not doing much damage, not to mention it was all counter infantry units and all Grass had was infantry. So for me, it's even a bit puzzling why take that fight. You know, you don't have to take it immediately. We can pull back. We can get a couple counter units, some Terma into that fight, or some is it Contarius? The counter, yeah, that's right. No, that's counter cavalry, so that wouldn't have been helpful. We didn't have a counter infantry unit available, but just some Arcus or something to get out and be able to take care of those Hephaestus would have made a big difference there.
We get
I know that
the pick and ban phase shown on screen again. Both players would like to request to see what is available.
Yeah, I'll get it updated.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead, Iron Man.
I have a new request for these top esports AOM players, they need to do a better job at remembering what their freaking picks and bans are.
No, come on, man. Come on.
There's hundreds of dollars on the line, and they can't even remember their own picks and bans. Come on, man.
Well,
Grass needs to get out his little college rule.
How do you know it's Grass? How do you know it's Grass? It could have been
to be
VortiX.
fair, Grass's prefrontal cortex has not developed, so I'm gonna give him a little bit. I'm gonna give him a little bit of slack there. We'll see, but VortiX, I don't know. Yeah, no excuse on that side.
VortiX is getting old like me, so he's losing his memory. Grass's memory is still developing, so
Yep.
you know it's they need to bring their notebooks. Peggy, if you're listening, you better go get yourself a notebook or a notepad or something like that. Take notes, because this is absurd, folks. We're not going to be a serious esports until we get some serious competitors. Okay. That's enough of that.
Let it all out. You know, this is Underworld Showdown, and this is therapy. You know, it's a bit of both. We love it. All right, so it's going back inside of Grass's hands here for the map pick. Where do you think he goes with this? I don't know what players consider their home maps. I don't think we have enough tournament history on Retold, but anything you expect Grass to try and pull out to bring the series back?
A map pick is not really jumping out to me. I think that maps, looking at Grass's gods, he's got Thor, Hades, Isis, Uranus. You can kind of just pick whatever you want. It really kind of just depends on the matchup. So what kind of needs to happen here is mind games. Grass needs to look at what's available and try and try and predict what VortiX is going to go for. I mean, something like Tundra, Savannah, Water, Blue, all of these maps, in my opinion, there's not a lot of diversity.
Yeah, a lot of these are very similar.
Yeah, like there's a little bit more hunt on Marsh or Tundra. There's a little bit less hunt on Oasis. There's a little bit of diversity, but not a ton. And I think that's kind of the biggest deal here. The only outlier that I really see is potentially Ghost Lake.
Yep, not
or
either.
Watering Hole.
Yeah, and we've had
with that.
Oh, we're back. All right.
And with that, we have the next matchup in line for this semifinals. We have decided to play Tundra as the map of choice.
Ooh, very nice.
And in Tundra, Fox VortiX shall be playing Loki.
Okay.
Grassengroom of Phantom Aces shall be playing Isis.
Fantastic. Another Norse versus Egyptian. We've had a lot of comments on both videos and in the streams about how the Norse just seem to beat up on the Egyptians. So I guess we'll have to see how that turns out, because we have seen Egyptians, I believe it was Isis beat Thor earlier inside of the day. We'll have to see how this matchup goes. I'm excited to see a low-key pick. We haven't seen a lot of that. That'll be a really fun one to have in this match.
Definitely. It is also nice to see Isis come out too, if they're able to get that initial early on that second pair, which they have two of, and they should be able to scale efficiently into that quick age 3.
Well, I hate to say this, but I think we might have a 2-0 in our hands. I kind of favor low-key in this matchup. This is a matchup I've played a decent amount of, and I feel like if you can weather the storm that is coming from the Isis player effectively with having heroes in the right units, in the right place at the right time, then you can suddenly take over the map, and it looks like they're already into the game. So do you guys want to just jump straight into it?
Definitely. We have Maiden that's going to be taking a quick little break. We'll join back in a few moments. And Flame, I see you in
he's
the
in the Twitch chat, but he's not getting in the Discord.
Flame.
I don't know what's up with that.
Flame.
But
Flame, I need you to get into Discord so you can talk not just about this matchup, but also so that you may talk about Keen, because we did have a segment earlier on about JSS, about Phantom Aces. We would love for you, one of the founders and leaders of Keen, to be able to talk about your organization too. So if you are able to make it onto the broadcast, join any voice chat within the Low Smith Discord. We will move you in. We'll cast this game, and then we're gonna have you have the ability to talk about your team.
Yeah, that sounds great. And we're getting into game now, Jay. Pulling it up. We have
Pulling it up.
Spawning in at the very south tip of the map, we have Aces Grass playing as Isis.
And on the north side of the map, we have Fox VortiX playing as Loki, the god of craziness, which is exactly how VortiX is bashing his opponents in this game.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Getting out on the hunt early. This is, back to what we were talking about before, an interesting map because we have the double hunt spawn right at the very beginning. Something that's definitely very beneficial for the Norse, but really beneficial to everyone except for Ra, basically, to have that extra hunt because Ra doesn't care as much about that. But pretty interesting map spawn. A little bit defensible here with the wood line that we have access to for grass, whereas the other side much more open at the front of the base. But I imagine that we're going to have VortiX pushing forward. I don't know that there's a great second settlement position as an aggressive second settlement for VortiX. Maybe he tries to get a base up over here, and we actually already see Grass expecting that, found that settlement, and he's going to get an obelisk up right up out of view of the TC. But when that gets built, he's going to be able to see if VortiX goes for that town center at all. So really nice placement for that. And let's do a quick relic review.
While we do the relic review, I think that Grass has been getting a lot of training from Soup, who's been telling us that you need obelisk to be able to know what your opponent is doing. So Grass obviously in training has picked up a trick or two from his best friend.
All right, well, we got Tail of Cerebra, Smith units using special attacks more often. Decent relic there. Improves line of sight for all buildings. Actually suspiciously good for Egyptians if he's able to pick that up with all the obelisks. That might be a really powerful one. Pair of lions, let's go. We got our first lion spawn. Hopefully someone picks that up early, and then we got farms are cheaper. Not really too impactful unless this game goes super late. We do hear spy cast. Let's see if we can find where that was cast really quick. Probably on the scout, but we'll have to find out. Yeah, looks like on the priest here, so being able to see what the priest sees from here on out.
Great use to be able to capture and see where your opponent is going to be able to put these obelisks up, and at the same time, if he is grabbing a relic, that spy does allow for you to be able to capture and try to yoink that relic back into your hands. And welcoming onto the broadcast, we have Keen Flame, the leader and owner, one of the owners of Keen, joining us. How are you doing, Flame, my friend?
What's going on, guys? I'm just doing just fine. Just woke up, so just ate breakfast. But yeah, exciting game so far, guys.
Yeah, it's
definitely. Funny. How do you feel, Keen Flame, about having Pegasus in the grand final already punched in, possibly having VortiX, one of your former players, also punching in his ticket into the final? How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I don't want to sound too cocky, but no surprise, man. This guy's been practicing, and honestly, he's one of the most talented players I've seen in a while. So I remember this guy. He was like a kid, like back in like 2014. And there was this other guy, a friend of mine. He was like, "Yo, this guy called Omega X Blast. He's like really talented, and he's gonna, be the next Magar of the game." And that ended up being Pegasus Rush. So there you got it.
Well, I have loved his creativity and his willingness to fully commit throughout this tournament. It doesn't seem like he has a doubt in his mind the entire tournament that he's making the right play. Even if he's doubting himself before the match, you can tell Pegasus knows exactly what he wants to do as soon as he gets into the game.
Definitely, yeah. And we're super happy to have Pegasus in the grand finals that will be playing right after this series. We're going to see who joins him, whether it's VortiX, if he's able to win this game, or Grass, if he's able to win 2 games back-to-back to be able to join him in that grand final. But we're in for a great, exciting semifinals here, boys.
Pretty interesting. We actually see Loki going through Foresti, which, we're used to seeing a lot of Foresti now but through Thor, but we don't see it that often for Loki. So pretty interesting pick. I would imagine it's mostly to get Hall of Thanes out to upgrade the Hearser even more. But we'll see what the Troll is able to accomplish here. We got a great Hall going down. Looks like he's starting to get his infrastructure forward one step at a time. Probably going to look to get some production over by this settlement, take control of that area, or maybe just stick to the middle of the map where this hunt and these berries are available. And on the other side, we do have Bast coming through right now, just about to be finished. So Sphinx is going to be coming out, and we'll see if the Sphinx is able to get anything done. I feel like, Jay, we might have to reevaluate our Sphinx tier. We haven't seen a huge impact from this unit today.
Definitely. Throughout the tournament, we've seen Sphinx actually underperform compared to its counterparts in the classical age. And I do still think that Sphinx has lots of value. It does have a lot of good base stats to be able to do certain things on the map that other units can't, especially within the Egyptian kit. to have Priest be able to hear it back up and get it back on the map to raid, but unfortunately just hasn't proven a lot. And right now we do see VortiX moving in. That troll, boom, baby, villagers go back. Right then, right there.
I love the trolls, man. Oh, a very aggressive Healing Springs. I love this.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to get some infrastructure around here, and it turns out this settlement is the one that he's going to go for to try and defend. Healing Springs makes this raid much more threatening. The troll might go down from the Pharaoh. Wow, what a miss by the Pharaoh. That was not even close to the troll. So the troll's going to be able to get out of there, it looks like, through the Healing Springs, or the Pharaoh is going to be threatened. He does have to pull it back. And at the end of the day, even if you're not killing villagers here, you're getting the villagers off the hunt. You're getting the Pharaoh off of empowering the hunt. So mission successful.
Honestly, like the way he's playing, right? Like you would think that he'll go Heimdall instead, right? From the undermine, so take down a few towers, and yes, the Isis monument, right? Protecting against the god powers, but you can still kind of get it, on the corner, and then that hunter will be completely exposed, right? Like a tower will not be there shooting all the units, but yeah, at the same time, right? He can also heal his units up with the healing spring. So I guess he's getting value from there, but yeah.
Pretty effective, and yeah, definitely this monument placement is a little interesting because I don't think this unit could definitely get undermined to cast on this tower to knock that down. So maybe he knew he wasn't going to be going through Heimdall, but I am surprised to see the monument so far from the main center of the base. We do already see Nemesis coming through, so we've got Ancestors Eclipse in the making, but I think there's few gods that are more prepared for that wombo combo than Low-Key. Just keep a couple Herser at home and you're going to be just fine.
Definitely, with this forward cavalry looking around the entire base and the entire area that Grass has, you have to think that he's actually prepared not just to answer that one that happened, but be able to put a reverse attack onto his base as he's establishing defense around that healing spring, as well as being able to isolate where these villagers are and where those resource gathering points will be.
This is an interesting choice from Grass. Maybe just didn't want to waste the time putting them around the towers and just clicked them out as fast as he could, but not really providing much of a wall at those houses. Usually I feel like the Egyptian players more than anyone will make sure their houses are in a good place to defend their base, but this isn't really going to fulfill that for him, so I'm curious to ask about that after the match.
Can I jump in real quick? I'm back, by the way.
Yes, jump in, please. My voice is getting so sore, so you jump in as long as you need.
Excellent. Okay, so right now there's a little bit of action going on. I highly doubt this Migdal stronghold is going to be denied. Oh, maybe it is. Wow. Okay.
Hall of Things. Oh, but we have the combo. You might have to wait till later, man.
Ancestors Eclipse is cast on the map right now. Let's see where that is being dropped right now.
Yep,
in the base.
Yep, in the base.
In the back base over here. Yes, there we go.
Cursor at home.
No Herser, nobody able to answer this home. 3 Herser do come back towards this, but the Ancestors minions are already going back at it. However, the Herser is super effective on making sure that these units will not be able to knock it down. Let's see if this God Power is able to do enough to be able to knock the TC. It is about 30 to 40% HP of currently where it's at. The minions do back out instead of committing towards it. And there's no villagers to be able to scout away from this point, so you have to think that this Wombo God Power did not work out as efficiently as it should.
Yeah, idle time, of course, as usual, but I didn't see a single villager go down. I know we were a bit late to get the camera up here, but I don't think I saw any villagers going down, so well defended. It does buy some time to get the stronghold up. Priest going to take out the troll, and then they're trying to secure this gold mine, but this army's going to have to back out once the Scorpion Man gets in here. There's enough heroes, and now we have the Chariot Archers and the Camels coming out that they should be able to handle this mass, and I think we're safe to have a little bit of downtime here. So Iron Maiden, if you want to jump back in with the point you were trying to make.
Well, this was exactly what I was looking for. I was going to say, where is the Sphinx? What is the vision of Grassengroom? Because we saw him use Ancestors Eclipse. We've seen him use it plenty of times before. He used it earlier against Ulysses. That's what I was expecting. And then boom, that's exactly when it happened. So anyways, it is what it is. That gives him control of he gets his Migdal up, he gets his gold mine going. I think that right now, Grass is, let's see if Grass can put the pressure on VortiX. If VortiX can handle the next several minutes of some aggression that Grass can put on, then he might be able to, clap back, so to speak, as the kids these days are saying. Anyways,
honestly, I think it's a very good A&E actually. Like it caused a lot of idle time, right? Delaying the heroic quite a bit, right? Like you can see he's going heroic right now, but it would have been even faster, right? And he also got, he got 2 monuments, right? So the Eclipse boost all the monuments, and now he got up to 60 favor. So he could cast Prosperity again, boosting him even further ahead, right? So that's kind of the reason, like the sooner you cast the Eclipse, the more favor you're gonna get, right? So you can cast another Prosperity, and then the next one, right, is gonna be 70 favor. So you can do it again, So that kind of makes like Isis OP, like if you can cast Prosperity over and over again, right?
It's definitely
It
an
does look like
undervalued.
we're gonna be able to. Looks like we're going to be able to chase off Grass's army right now as VortiX is positioning to defend his forward longhouses. It does not look like much is going to be able to get caught up, but the priests are substantially slower than those camels. And as that army is being approached right now, the age up does come up. It looks like both armies are going to position themselves in a better position. And while we have a moment to catch our breath, I did want to ask a question to you, my friend Flame. How do you want to describe your relationship with VortiX? I mean, he's been on your team for some time. He's obviously left to Fox, but tell us a little bit about your relationship with VortiX and how he's been a part of Keen before he decided to move on to a different team.
Honestly, he's been in there for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then Fox contacted him, right? And he decided to join up there. So, he scrimmed maybe 1 or twice with us, but yeah, he talked a little bit about us, like about the game, right? Like the strategy theory of the game. But besides that, not much has happened with VortiX, honestly. So
nature of the new game, right? A lot of moving parts very early on. I didn't know he was only there that long though, so that is good to know.
Speaking of moving parts, everybody, we got some moving dwarven parts right here. This is a sick raid on the by the camels. Come on.
Camels are going ahead against these dwarves as these dwarves are getting dropped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The dwarves are being knocked down all the way back to the town center as that gold mine was unprotected and
we got another attack though.
And back onto the
Flaming
morning
weapons has been
phase.
cast. Here's the push.
Flaming weapons is cast. VortiX is moving his entire army directly into Grass's main area right now. Will he be able to be caught out? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, units are going back into the town center.
Priest army.
Those priest armies are able to isolate and take out myth units one by one. However, the town center is fully directed. Camels are coming in the back line right now to surround VortiX's back flank. However, is his mass enough to be able to take down that town center and be able to effectively win this fight? I don't believe that is going to be the case.
Honestly, I think it's okay, even if he loses to TC. As long as he doesn't lose any villagers, he's completely fine. He just needs to, not lose any army or villagers, and he's fine. Like the flaming weapons, right? It would have been kind of wasted, right? And VortiX's gold mines, right? They're completely wide open. There's no hill fort there, so any camel raids, right? He can get the villagers for free, just like a minute earlier. So I think it's looking pretty good for Grass, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he's booming up. He's got a nice villager lead building. Managed to weather the storm on the flaming weapons. So similar type of thing with the Ancestors Eclipse. Yeah, it did some damage, but it's not really making a significant break inside of the opponent's base. So I'm sure Grass is very happy with the end of that exchange.
Definitely. And right now we still see VortiX sitting on 1 TC, not looking for that second TC yet across the map.
No one is, yeah.
Be able to at cross map play. The villager difference is set to 7 so far, but expect that to increase as the game continues to go on.
Yeah, and I think it's just the fact that Grass's raids have been more successful than Vortex's, but we see a bit of a counter raid, but only 1 Jarl out here, so probably going to pick off 1 or 2 villagers. We'll see how close the army is. Oh, maybe this whole villager mass actually might be in trouble because these Herser and Herdmen might be able to pincer that off, but a lot of villagers actually going down. Grass caught sleeping on this gold mine. Villagers getting caught out. Villagers over here are going to be completely wiped. I think he's going to lose all of these. There's no way to get out of there.
Grass is definitely caught out as the villagers in the backline are not able to get to safety as they're running directly back into where the main initial army is being fought. However, Grass does have an army that's going to be pushing outwards to be able to protect as many villages as he can. He is thinning out the front line with those chariot archers and priests pushing back VortiX's army. Grass only effectively loses about 3 to 4 villagers, sustaining his economy in the direction that he would hope.
I can't believe he only lost a couple villagers there. I thought that whole chunk was doomed, but actually managing to pull his army back to defend them, and now he's back on the push himself, picking up a couple dwarfs of his own.
Definitely.
Those Scorpion Man, like the Eclipse he did right earlier, he got him like 60 favor, right? And now he got 3 Scorpion Man. And man, I think he should send some of these Scorpion Men to like one pack of villagers, right? And just watch them wreak havoc, basically. Like those Dwayne Johnsons, they're gonna like pop off on these villagers. They're really, really good.
Johnsons.
Definitely. And these cursors are going around the Scorpion Men right now, slamming the hammer 1, 2, 3, down upon them on the front line. However, there are gold miners on the dwarf side and ox carts caught in the middle of the battle as these priests continue to be unharassed on the back line, aiming towards these myth units one by one. However, it looks like VortiX is taking complete control of the fight, and the dwarves are just going to go ahead and mine. They don't give a shit about Grass's army as they dissipate back towards their town center and run to the screen.
Yeah, fight win by VortiX here, but definitely lost more villagers. So that lead still sits at about 7. It hasn't grown, but we know the ISIS economy is really strong and definitely stronger than the low-key economy. So if Grass can just keep this pace, I think the big thing to fend off now is the Mountain Giant coming in. That's an incredibly strong heroic age siege unit. But with the Priest Mass that we've been seeing out of Grass, I think he's going to be able to handle it pretty easily.
I have a question for Flame real quick. Flame, in your expert tenured opinion, who has the advantage at this point in time in the game?
I would say Loki, especially after Grass just suicide his whole army to those dwarfs, right? Like,
yeah,
and those Odys killed all his Scorpion Men. Like, this is gonna be rough. I think Grass should have sent the Scorpion Men like out on the map somewhere else. You know, like you can see the Hunt villages right there on the right side. Like he should have just like kept scouting with the Scorpion Man, like be really annoying, you know, like draw his army away from the gold mine, and then you know you can push with that. But I think right now Loki is just like the economy is just too insane. Like Norse is just really, really strong right now.
I think if I may, Flame, I think the biggest deal right now is the fact that Grassengroom, as we see a big engagement here.
Big engagement happening as VortiX's army goes directly underneath the Mundho stronghold, chasing down those chariots, but he is met by a front line of spearmen that is going to be able to challenge that the Mountain Giant. There are priests going in and out of that base, attacking those myth units, bringing him down to less than 40% HP. However, his army's positioned completely to the side. We do not see any significant advantage besides that Mountain Giant being about to be dropped. Those units are chasing villagers. They are not going to be able to catch many, and the fight is being placed in a position where VortiX is being caught out now as he's inside of Grass's base. He decides that this is not the fight he wants to take, and he's going to move away from that position.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if the stronghold should have been out a bit further, because we've seen several times now Grass getting caught out with his villagers on this gold mine, and now that villager count is dead even. We're sitting at about the same, but the military count significantly stronger here for VortiX.
Well, here's what's going on, guys. They just keep going back and forth, back and forth. Neither of the players have really secured gold mines. So right now, Grass goes after his gold mine, he wins a fight, and then he walks across the map, loses his army, and then he goes defensive, and then VortiX walks over, loses his army, causes some idle time, and then, you know, goes defensive. So they just keep going back and forth and back and forth. I think eventually this game is going to be won by whoever can secure a gold mine. Grassengroom only has this one gold mine that's about what, half mined, 2/3 of the way mined. He's running out of gold. Yeah, he's got the gold mine back in his base. Okay,
not anymore. Yeah, that one's about to be gone, and this other one
Definitely.
Here, it is
VortiX's army is directly going on to the town center right now as Grass's army is attempting to push them off. However, this dance is not going to be enough as that town center is damn near falling, if not already falling. The few villages that were garrisoned already released themselves from it, letting it drop, and VortiX takes an advantage where the first town center of the game is fallen.
Yeah, and now that villager league is going to keep growing, right? Because now we're on 1 TC versus 0, which is much worse than 2 versus 1. And Grass is in a really tough spot. You can tell he does not want to give up here. But how does he come back? He needs to get better raids. He looks like he's trying to find some raiders with these chariots. But I have to agree, those Scorpion Men, they're a perfect raiding unit. They're quite quick. They do an AoE poison. They're really great at taking out villagers. And I agree. I feel like we could use those better by looking for gold mine and hunt on the map.
Yeah, just to, you know, basically like draw like army away, right, from VortiX's main army, and then, you know, you can like take better fights, right? When he's going for those pushes, you can take better fights. And yeah, I think Mr. makes a great point in the chat as well. You know, just empower your Migdol, make a lot of chariots, and, you know, get ballistics if he doesn't already, right? Mm-hmm. I think he's actually getting it right now.
Yep, he just pre-queued it.
But... Oh, that's VortiX.
Oh,
but,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So you can basically, what he's doing right now, this is really good, you know, like just pick off the reinforcements and, oh, flaming weapons going on. This is going to be really, really rough to defend.
Really rough. Flaming weapons is dropped as that town center is being put back on track. However, even with flaming weapons, is he going to have enough to take out the Egyptian mass? The chariot archers are doing damage on the back line. However, it might not be enough as villagers and priests are dropping in the main initial fight towards that direct town center. However, it looks like VortiX is pulling back with his hero units from the side. It looks like Grass is going to hold himself off. However, on the other side of the map, we do see a gold mine fall with a Monhole Stronghold being damn near low health. Damn, Grass is down to just a few chariots at this point. This might be a troubling situation for him.
Interesting Goaty mass. I wonder whether we have the massive Goaty here. We haven't seen a ton of myth units outside of a couple Scorpion men from Grass, but Goaties are going down, and he does successfully hold this, but it doesn't solve the problem he's having. He's now doubled in economic count, and the army sizes are about the same. So if you're VortiX here, you're happy to just pull back, recoup, and send another army.
Yeah. This is a huge deal, you guys. This is a huge deal. The villager numbers. Over on that left-hand side where the Migdal is, I'm pretty sure all of those villagers just completely toast. The Migdal's almost dead. He lost half of his economy right there. Grass just lost half of his economy, for crying out loud. So considering the fact that this is a 1 TC game, exposed gold mines, and on and on and on, this is VortiX's game to lose at this point in time. This is crazy. This has been a really interesting game. 1 TC for 1 TC for so long. Crazy.
Yeah, it feels like we're getting either 1 TC or every TC on the map gets taken in these games. And right here, I don't see a reason as VortiX why you would build another. Just, you can close out this game pretty straightforward. He's just got to watch out for raids taking out too many units. But man, he is just so on top of getting his gatherers out of the way when these raiders come by. Every single time he moves them out of the way, he moves them right back. I've seen it happen 5 or 6 times this game. I don't know where this dwarf came from, but you know, only losing one versus what could have been 6 or 7 dwarfs going down from that raid, and he's just consistent with it.
Definitely, and that pressure that's being applied on Grass's side is not effective just because they are not able to pick out these units. However, in this case specifically, these chariots are able to work.
Oh, shit.
There's 2, 3, and you know what? It might end up that where these chariot archers are able to pick off the rest of these units because they are dropping more than half of what is available on that one specific ox cart. However, is that going to be enough to be able to create any sort of advantage for Grass in this matchup?
I don't think so. It's still double the villager count at this point. He does not have the economy, and now we look at heavy berserk coming out, heavy herdmen coming out. And I'm sure we've got some Huskarl. Yeah, we got some Huskarl fit in there as well, and the Goaty. We're one fight away from this semifinal ending.
I think like what Grass is doing right now, I think he should have done this, you know, like 10 minutes ago or like 5 minutes ago, right? Like what he's doing right now is really good, but I feel like it's just too late at this point. Like VortiX has like the heavy upgrades incoming, you know, and when you see heavy upgrades on Norse and you're Egypt, it's kind of over. Like at that point, like Norse is just very, very strong. Yeah, yeah, he's just 30 more villagers than the rest does at this point. I feel like this, the playstyle of VortiX right now, where they're both kind of suicide in their armies, like Grass goes in all in, right, and then VortiX goes in. It favors the Loki player more than it does the Isis player. I feel like Isis needs to kind of take it slower and just raid, like water the opponent down, right? But Loki can just keep doing this over and over, and it will favor him, right? Because his economy is just much better than the Egyptian economy.
Definitely, and that town center does go down for Grass right now, where he's back down to 0 town centers once again. Actually, does he have a second town center?
No, he's down to 0.
No,
I want to see VortiX drop a TC right in his base. That's what I want to see.
The VortiX immediately moves his army towards the stronghold.
And there it is. Yeah.
And there it is.
I agree. Grass pulling out some good moves towards the end, but too little, too late. And VortiX is going to take this semifinals in a clean 2-0. Really nice game from him. And that means we're just a little bit away from the grand finals getting kicked off here. And I cannot wait for that. We've got a fantastic matchup coming in. VortiX recently leaving, joining Fox versus Pegasus in the finals. That's going to be really exciting.
That will be, definitely. We're going to get both players in for interviews as long as they are willing. And we will get that information here shortly. We're going to take a 2-minute break while we get players back into chat.
Yeah, you go grab them. I'm curious to hear Flame and Iron Man's thoughts on this game. I know we talked about a lot of it ahead of time. Grass making the right moves, but a bit too late. Anything else you want to call out from this matchup? particularly with VortiX's play?
With VortiX's play, I think he would be even better if he just like, you know, didn't suicide his army so much into the TC of like his enemy players. Like some games he does it right, some games he doesn't. I feel like maybe it's just his play style, right? But I feel like if he takes like a step back, maybe takes a TC and, you know, builds like a hill fort around the gold mines, for example, like the gold mine on the left side, right? And he builds a hill fort right there, like a little bit on the left side of that, right? And then he can, you know, secure that position while he's pushing, right? Like just take a step back and take it a little bit slower, you know, like once you have an advantage, don't let go. And because I think the way VortiX is playing right now, he goes too deep too often. And like, you know, against a player that, you know, or for example, Grash could punish this as well, right? So it's kind of RNG sometimes, you know, where whether he can win or lose of that. It's
I would have loved to see either one of the player pull back their troops to the healing springs that was in the middle of the map,
Yeah,
because there
didn't
was
get that
just a
much
lot of
use.
suiciding going on.
Yeah, pretty nice use early on, but yeah, this was taken by Grass pretty early into the game, but not really utilized since, you know, it was very helpful for that original rating, but after that, we didn't really see too much out of it. So
I think the problem with that healing spring was that healing spring, it basically covered nothing, right? Like the gold mines were not on that side.
Nearby.
Yeah, there's just nothing to fight over, so it just didn't really get used this game.
Shout out to John Arbiter in the chat who said GG as soon as that Mygo stronghold got put up. He said it just wasn't close enough to the gold mine and that it was too far back.
Well, he was absolutely right, because we did see the villagers get caught out a lot of times there, so that might have made a difference. But I think we've got players in here now, Jay.
We will get players in here soon. John Arbiter, respond to your messages. You know, if you have some thoughts and comments towards this type of thing. Anyways, that being said, I have VortiX going to be joining us. Picture of that semi-final that I'm going to be dragging into this Discord chat. VortiX, welcome. Congratulations on punching your way in to the grand finals of the Underworld Showdown. We are super excited to have you. How do you feel about that last roundup, that last match?
Yeah, honestly, first game I thought it would be hard. I think Gaia is really strong there, but actually it went super well. Like I think once I defended the TC, it was pretty straightforward. Second game is actually a weird matchup because I haven't played this map specifically a lot, but it feels like it's easy to deny the second goal, right? So that was my plan all along, and yeah, it worked well.
Definitely. What are your thoughts going into the matchup playing against Pegasus? He is a former one of your teammates, so you guys must have a relationship to where you guys know how one another plays in some element. How do you feel about this?
Well, he's a really, really strong player for sure, and him beating Recon 2-0, right, is like very big. I think it's obvious that he's on a good shape. So honestly, I don't know so much about how he plays besides what I've seen here and a few games on ladder. So I don't know. It's gonna be hard for sure, but I'm excited to see and find out.
Definitely. Do you have any comments towards like you being the first player for the team Fox, being their first AOM player in the scene? Do you have any idea of what you bring to the scene as now a new Fox player, or what that organization wants to do competitively?
Well, I don't know. In general, it's just really good to see organizations from out of the mythology community, right, getting interested in the game and investing. I think it means that the game has had like good reception, and Fox is a really strong team in AoE2, I think. So the fact that a big team in the series wants to go into mythology is really big. And well, they contacted me, and I feel honored to be the like one of the players in this new team.
Wonderful. I'm gonna go ahead and ask Iron Maiden if he has any questions for you.
I have a million questions. I have a million questions for VortiX, but I will limit it to one or two.
Please.
VortiX, I've kind of a two-part question. The first part, VortiX, what is your history with Age of Mythology? You kind of hit Retold with a bang with your Red Bull performance, which was amazing. So what's your history with Age of Mythology? Did you play as a kid? Did you ever play competitively? Talk to us about that.
I did play in the campaign a little bit when I was maybe not a kid, but like an early teenager. I remember playing like a few campaign missions, but at that time I was mostly focusing on Warcraft 3. Well, not focusing, right? Enjoying Warcraft 3. I was still a kid pretty much. So I didn't play much back in the day. And actually, when Retail got announced, I really wasn't interested on it, not because, I mean, not because of anything in particular. It's just I had never played the game. So I was like, I don't care. This is just another remaster. But there was a few guys in my community saying, hey, you should try this game. You should try this game. So when the game came out, I just tried it. I think it was late August, right? And that's it. That's all my history with the game. I've been playing for like 2 months, and honestly, really enjoying it.
And now you're in the finals of a high-level tournament. Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I have a lot of experience in RTS in general, so I am really fast in picking up new games, even if they have been out for a long time.
I am curious to ask, because VortiX, most of what I've watched of you is competing in AoE 4 and other Age of Empires series. You know, what are your thoughts on the pretty drastic difference in AOM and AOM Retold with the usage of god powers and myth units, you know, as far as how that makes the game different?
Honestly, it's one of the things that I love the most about Mythology. Like, it's similar to Age of Empires. At least I've played a lot of AoE 4. That's the one I can talk about. It's kind of similar in some ways, even though it's a little bit faster. But then it has that god powers and hero units, mythic units to spice it up a little bit. And in general, Mythology, I think, is it's kind of like an Age of Empires, but that the game makes you, it forces you to be proactive, right, and play a lot on the map and stuff. So it kind of erases the turtling thing that I kind of disliked a little bit in AoE 4. So in general, I think Mythology is really, really fun.
Can you say you found a new home in Age of Mythology as like a new game that you want to prioritize? Or is this one of many for you?
I mean, right now it's the game I like the most. So, but I never wanna say that, because I oftentimes say, oh, this is the game I'm gonna stay with. But then another game comes out, and I like to play different games. I'm not the kind of person that will just play one game for his whole life. So right now it's Mythology, and I also want to play AoE 4 tournaments. I'm not gonna give up on that, but right now it's mostly Mythology for me. It's the one I love right now.
That's the wrong answer.
One more question.
The right answer,
Oh,
real quick, Jay. The right answer is actually Retold has several S tier tournaments coming up, so 100% VortiX's attention will be on Age of Mythology. That's the correct answer.
Who knows? Who knows? VortiX might be ready for the next S tier Underworld Showdown tournament that we host.
Yes.
If this isn't an S tier by the end of tonight, then that's going to be the case for sure. But VortiX, another question for you, my friend. You obviously have won many titles and many games. You're a storied player who has been very successful in RTS. Are you prepared for Pegasus? What do you think that you are going into this grand finals round against Pegasus? What are you anticipating going to play against him?
Well, he seems to be a very well-rounded player, right? It's not like, at least from what I've seen, he's good at playing aggressive, playing defensive. So I don't know. I think I'll just go with the flow. I'll see what the matchups are, and see what I can do. Like I said, I don't know a lot of him just yet. So I don't know. I'm just gonna try some stuff, have some fun, and that's it.
Definitely. Keen, do you have any questions for him, Flame, before we go ahead and pass out to the Grassengroom for the next interview?
Yes, and he stepped out for a second.
Flame decided that, not.
That's all right. But VortiX, we're excited to see you in the finals. Anything else you want to say to the people that have been watching, to your fans, before we close out the interview?
Yeah, sure. Thanks everyone a lot. Especially, I know there's like some people have been telling me in my Discord, right? I know they're following the tournament and supporting me like they always do. Like the Spanish speaking community is great. So thanks a lot to them. Also to the Fox member. I've seen some of them in the chat. And yeah, everyone watching, I think this is an awesome tournament. And also thank you so much for inviting me as well. And that's it. Let's have a great final.
We are just as happy to have you, VortiX, as you were playing with us. Thank you for being a part of this tournament and getting to the grand finals. You're going to make for a very exciting matchup against Pegasus. We're going to let you go here so we can go ahead and interview Grass, and then after about 10 minutes or so, we'll come back to you for the next pick and ban phase and finals. So thank you again, VortiX. We appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Man,
Very much.
I'm so excited for the finals. This is going to be a banger.
I'm so excited for the finals. Oh man. And before we go to the finals,
yeah, let's get Grass in here. If you want to jump over and just make sure he's ready to go. So yeah, we'll get Grass in for a quick interview, and want to hear his thoughts on the game. Curious about his thoughts, and then outside of that, we'll take like a 10-minute break, just for broadcasters. Take a quick break, get a quick bite to eat, and then we'll reconvene for the finals. Reminder for everyone: the finals is a best of 5. This is not a best of 3 for the finals, and we have one rule change in the draft. Each player picks 6 gods, and then if we get to a game 5, all gods are available, whether or not the player drafted them. So we could have a mirror matchup in game 5 of the finals if we get there, and that's the only significant rule change.
That is very much the case. Before we go ahead and move to that, just get a couple things in order and get Grass in here for his interview. Just one moment.
Grass put up a hell of a fight, that's for sure.
He did. Yeah, he did.
That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. Let's get Grass in here. Grass and Groom. Grass, you are a big fan of this channel, as you already know. Me and Matt love to cast your games. Me and Matt appreciate everything you've done, not just for this tournament,
I would rephrase that. I would say this channel is a big fan of Grass and what he's done to help this channel.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's untold. Doesn't need to be said how much we appreciate you and everything you do. I know you just lost the semifinals against VortiX, and I know that's a very big opponent that you placed. Tell me your thoughts going through that semifinals matchup. What did you think about VortiX and how you played? Do you think that you played to your best ability? Do you think that there were some, missteps across the place? Just talk to us a little bit about that semifinal matchup.
The first game went exactly how I thought it was going to go. With the beginning, I thought he was going to grab a TC, and my plan was to go lots of Murmillo, and just siege it down. But he did a good job going heroic, which got him Hippaspist to counter the infantry. So I didn't expect how fast he would get heroic, and that kind of countered what I did. And he also did a good job killing the carnivore, which took out my sieging ability to get the town center down. I think my mistake that game was not going for the gold mine. There was only one, not even safe, but gold mine in the middle of the map. If I had gone for that, I'd probably be in a better position than diving a town center. But
yeah, and I will say from the broadcast perspective, right up until the very final moment when the bronze came out, we were pretty convinced you were going to get that town center. You had a much bigger mass. VortiX did have the Hephaestus, but not very many of them, and it seemed like you were confident to take that fight. And really, it just seemed like if the heroic age was just 30 seconds later, a couple less Hephaestus by that TC, you would have had it. So it was very close. It made for an exciting cast at that moment, because we weren't sure if that TC was going to go down or not.
Yeah, me too, not going to lie.
Yeah.
It
was close, but yeah.
I know you were this qualifier match against Recon. Tell me how you feel about knowing that, even though it's not today, but tell me how you feel about that matchup going against another veteran of the game.
Recon is incredibly good. I'd say overall in Retold, he's been the second best player besides Mista. So he's going to be a very tough opponent. He said, though, he hasn't been playing as much due to real life stuff, but it should be good games either way. But I think I can take it, but it's going to be very tough.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. We'll have to figure out the best time to do that. But I know we'll follow up after the tournament today and get that scheduled. So, because we definitely want to have that match and make sure everyone's able to see it, because that will be an exciting one. And I think that's kind of the tough part about these single elimination tournaments, that you can have such big players that just maybe have an off game or two, like Recon versus Pegasus, and he's able to get the upset, which makes it exciting. But would love to just know your thoughts, Grass, in the tournaments you've done so far around different formats. If there's anything that you've really enjoyed for tournament formats, or if you think the single elimination bracket seems to work the best.
Single elimination is pretty tough because you can't take risks, or it feels like you can't take risks, because if you do, you're out of the tournament. You don't get a second chance. With double elimination, maybe you can try some other stuff out, or not show everything you want to do in the tournament, I guess. But with single elimination, like every match is like, if you lose, you're out. So it's pretty difficult. Double elimination is a lot easier, I would say. But
yeah, and I agree. You know, it's something that Jay and I have talked about prior to this, trying to get that in. To me, the most exciting matchups are the rematches in the losers bracket to see who gets eliminated and who continues forward. Those are some of the best. So we're definitely going to look to do more of that. The only thing I wanted to ask about, you know, we've got other tournaments coming up later, Genesis coming to the future. How do you feel like your mindset is in your preparation for Genesis coming later?
Genesis is going to be really fun. It's a really big tournament with lots of prize money on the line. And I really hope I can get top 16. I think I can. And as long as I don't get Mista in the first round, I think I'll do pretty well.
That's fair.
Speaking of Mista, like, can you talk about your relationship with him? You guys are on the same team. He's obviously been somebody who's like mentored you and worked with you quite a bit through the scrims as well as being on the same team. Just tell us a little bit about your relationship with Mista and how that's like developed over the time you've been together.
I've played, or I met Mista really like, I only really talked with him like a month before Retold came out. And then after that, I didn't really play with him at all until after like the day before Red Bull qualifiers, because he was training pretty much solely with Recon.
Mm-hmm.
Since they were on opposite sides of the bracket, and I was on Mista's side. He didn't want to give anything away, I guess. So I didn't train with him until then. And then after that, I trained a lot with him in like the next 2 or 3 weeks before he had to go to Spain. So I did tons of scrims with him, and I've been doing some with him recently in preparation for Genesis. But he's, in my opinion, he's by far the best player in the game right now, and I think he's going to win Genesis. But I'd like to see if someone can take a game off him in a tournament. It'll be
Yeah.
Wow. So Grass has just said that he is not sure if anyone can take a game off of him from Genesis. But the last question I have for you before I give it over to the rest of the panel is I'm just curious about what you think the current state of Age of Mythology is. The Retold is a good place for casual play, for competitive play. Do you think there's any changes that need to be done to make sure the game is healthy for the community overall?
It's a very good game. I'm very happy with it. I would say the game's never going to be 100% balanced. There's always going to be something that's overbuffed or something that's weak. And at the moment, I think that's Thor, Uranus, and Ra. But I'm sure with like a coming balance patch, they'll change that and nerf those or buff other gods. But I think it's a good place for pretty much everyone, because the ladder is very it's spread out. There's people at every rank pretty much. So I think it's good for all types of players. So yeah.
Awesome.
Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and give it over to the rest of the panel if they have any more questions for Grass. Until then, that we will go ahead and let Grass and speak on anything he wants to say before the interview is completed.
I saw Iron Maiden come off mute. Yeah, go ahead.
Me, pick me. Okay.
Go ahead, Maiden.
Grassengroom, this is a tough question for you. Red Bull, you lost to Mista. Okay, that is very understandable. But you know, what was interesting in this matchup that we didn't highlight or didn't get an opportunity to highlight is that VortiX and you both were the semifinalists who lost to Recon and Mista. So this was a little bit of an interesting matchup. This was essentially, you could maybe say that this was essentially a third place match for the Red Bull tournament. Anyways, so having said that, you've been aspiring in the competitive scene over the last couple of years. You've hit the semifinals in the latest two S tier retold tournaments, including this one. So let's pretend Mista didn't exist, okay? His farming season, whatever happened with his farming season, and he needs to go hit the fields, and he's not part of the tournament, right?
Yeah.
So you tell me, what do you need to do to get to the finals of an S tier tournament?
I think without Mista in the game,
Yes.
I think there's like 10 people that are very close. I think anybody can make the finals out of like 10, 15 people.
I'm talking about
Um,
you, Grass.
yeah, I know. But I think for me personally, uh, I would say need to focus more on drafting. I think drafting is pretty difficult. It's kind of there's a lot of strategy that goes into it, and it's a lot of the time a series is decided by a draft, I would say, and I don't have very much experience with it since we didn't do drafting in the original Age Mythology. So my first ever drafting tournament was with Red Bull, so I need some experience with that. But uh, that's what I need to work on probably.
Well, we appreciate you, Grass, for giving us your time.
I got one
Go
more
ahead.
question. I first of all, I love that answer about the draft. That was something we wanted to try and highlight more what's actually happening in the draft on this broadcast. So I hope we were somewhat successful in that. And I think there's a ton of strategy in it, and that's why I like the draft so much. But I have a question from the chat that I think was really worth asking you, Grass, because you're in a bit of a unique position as a very young player in the scene. And 600 Elo expert asked, what could Retold do, you think, to attract more young players into the space?
I really don't know, to be honest. Advertising.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Like it's
what got
like a
you
lot.
into the space? What got you into AOM in the first place?
Family played it,
There you go.
and I played it, and I liked it. So, and I started playing it more, and I found I was good at it. So, I kept playing it, and it was very enjoyable for me. So,
I mean,
Heard it
you
here,
have to
guys.
understand.
Adopt a child, teach them to play Age of Mythology, make those families.
There you go.
I have to say, like, when you look at this as an overall viewpoint from what Grass just said, AOM is definitely a game that's a legacy game that has like historic ties towards players that and families and people who just appreciate the game really come together to make it a reality, not just on the amateur scene, but the pro level even scene, as Grass is saying. So you have to respect the fact that players come together and do this. Viewers come together, enjoy these broadcasts just as they used to back in the day. It's not just on Voobly anymore. Now it's like becoming more mainstream, and we see pro teams coming in like Phantom Aces, stepping in and then putting investment into the scene. It's a great thing. It's an absolute great thing, and thank you so much for your time, Grass. I think that we all enjoyed this interview very much so. And we can't wait to see you be a part of the next Underworld Showdown. But not just that, but to see what you do in Genesis as well. And make your mark on the scene because you are a fan favorite of this channel. Me and Matt are big fans of you, just so you know. Not just the fact that we like to cast games and just host tournaments, but you are a player that we want to see succeed very much so. So we're so happy to have you be a part of the Underworld Showdown, not just today, but in the future. And thank you for so much for your time. Is there anything you want to say to the fans before we let you go?
Thank you. It was very fun. This is a great tournament in preparation for Genesis. It's pretty similar to what the rules will be there, so uh, it's going to be really fun. Genesis is in like a week now, so yeah, you'll see me there. Also looking forward to the 2v2 tournament. that you guys are gonna.
Yes, sir.
host. Yeah.
The 2v2 tournament is coming. Shout
Yeah.
out to Cal and to Soup,
It's
who've been
coming.
calling me out in DMs about that shit. It is coming. It's coming.
All right. Well, we'll let you go. Thank you, Grass, for hanging out for the interview.